Yay, transitions are still taking their time. Hello, folks. Hello, world. I'm happy to be back one last time before the summer break. So, you're used to it. Welcome to Fun Skill, where we teach Break Chill weekly. Today, and not tonight, I'm happy to welcome Aituglo.
Hey.
And Siten.
Hello.
Which is not his first time, actually.
Yeah, second time, yeah.
Yep. Of a long series, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully.
I love English starts, always kind of rough, but it will get faster in a few. So before we start, a few words about today's topic. We're going to talk about Caido first, about the current release. We're going to talk a bit about the roadmap, the changelog, what are the things moving currently in the project, and a bit the way Aituglo and I, bug hunter, pentester, rely on it daily for our work and passion. And that's pretty much it. So before we start, Aituglo, as you're new here, do you want to give us a few words about who you are, what you do, and where you write? Wink, wink.
Yeah, I'm currently a full-time bug hunter since like 4 years now. And I mainly write on my blog every Wednesday at aituglo.com. That's the same nickname everywhere, so quite easy to find on X and everywhere. And yeah, quite happy. I'm using Caido since like the beginning and really happy to be now an ambassador. So yeah, that's great.
Nice. For the swag, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shirt.
So yeah, go check his work. Go check his work. It's aituglo.com. It spells Laluka, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, bug hunter. Me, you know me, I won't introduce again, but mostly bug hunting right now and a lot of pen testing years. Still doing that. Pen test is not dead yet.
Not dead. Nah, it's fine.
Nah.
But,
it's fine.
It looks fine, but
it's evolving, let's say.
It's evolving. It's,
yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully machines don't do everything.
Or maybe we become machines, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or triagers. That's it.
Triagers, yeah.
Slowly, surely, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Siten, a few words on you and your role part in the company before we start.
Yeah, I'm Siten, co-founder of Caido. So yeah, I've been working on Caido for 5 years now. So yeah, time flies. Yeah, just happy to share like the new stuff that's around. Hopefully we'll make it a series. We'll see how long we stay on the stream. And try to share a bit more. I feel like we release a lot of stuff. Sometimes people don't do the updates. So maybe there's an argument for updating your instance of Caido.
One thing, every time we speak, I get tons of idea. One thing that kind of locks me from updating frequently is that Caido is not yet supported in MIS or ASDF backends. And we should be able to have MIS use Caido at latest and whoosh.
Yeah. That's
maybe through UB that already manage GitHub releases.
Yeah.
That's something we should implement.
Yeah. I know it's on Brew, but MIS, I don't think it's on MIS. That's true. That's a good point.
We've had
so many distribution channels. So.
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe just curl. Well, there is already a curl pipe SH installed the latest. So yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah, you can curl the.
True.
Right.
So first, thanks GG for the sub and welcome to all the new followers. I know that there are plenty of English folks from the Caido community here, so welcome in. We usually do stream in French, so we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and I think we can get started if you like, Siten, for the changelog. Then I will take my turn and maybe a few words from Aituglo on how he relies on
Let's do that. And if people have questions also in the chat, we can definitely go from there. So
feel free to drop any question, suggestion, idea, the Twitch chat or YouTube, LinkedIn. It's all merged and will get extracted to get requests at the end and see how we can improve even further the tool.
Definitely looking into that. So let's go into
switching scene, adding screen. Actually, maybe the first scene was the best one with your screen.
Do you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And
So yeah, we had I don't know last time we did, but we'll focus on the release 57.
Zoom,
Or
we're back live.
Zoom.
Zoom,
Oh
Zoom.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
That's good. All right. So yeah, we'll focus on the 57. We had a little patch, I think last week. Yeah, last week we had a little patch for some bugs. But yeah, the big stuff is WebSocket for that release. So we'll get a lot into that and a bit of Automate Extractor. So that was the big stuff for this release 57. So the biggest change you will see is
First question, even in the UI, I know this is already implemented really well in Caido.
Yeah.
Font size, yeah.
Yeah.
One more, if you don't mind. Yeah, one more.
One more? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Perfect.
Okay. It's good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you will see now, I believe we're going to remove the HTTP one, the HTTP tag, because people were like complaining that it was a bit too annoying to have the HTTP. But we essentially added a new session type. So we reworked the way replay sessions are made. We now have types of sessions. So obviously you have the default HTTP one, that doesn't change, but we now have the WebSocket one. So when you go down to this drop down, you now have WebSocket. And we're currently working for the next version, which is going to be 58. We're going to have essentially pipelines, pipelines is our kind of like parallel sending, sequential sending, all of that stuff is going to be inside a pipeline. So that's coming for the next release.
And orchestrated set of requests.
Yes, essentially, yeah. So, well, mostly for parallel sending. So, single packet
to Turbo Intruder. Standalone.
Yeah. Well, Turbo Intruder, you have like scripting capabilities. For this, is going to be mostly like the groups essentially. So, single packet attacks and stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but for this release, we have the WebSocket. So, this is the first stuff that we're releasing. So when you open a new WebSocket session, you have obviously the URL that you put at the top. That gives you like the HTTP. So you can also modify and tweak the HTTP for the upgrade if you need to change it in some ways. You can do that here. And then you click connect. That's a bit, I don't have a lot of space in that screen with the updated, but yeah, you click connect. And then now you are in the WebSocket messages, so you can send like say tests, and then that's just the echo server, so it's just gonna echo back, and then you can send as many messages as you want, obviously, and then I can close that connection. And the idea here is I have an history of all my sessions, so this is a bit different. So you have essentially all the messages from the previous history, and then you can see like all your different attempts. And the according also the HTTP message will be depending on your histories.
Pretty similar from the Chrome DevTools Lean UI.
Not
that much, but like per request, you have a channel which relies with display all the messages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea here. Is like we wanted you to have like the full history of the WebSocket and not lose like your messages from previous attempts and stuff like that. And then it creates just a new attempt when you steam it. So, and then if you want to filter it, we have a new. Well, I don't know if people had questions in chat about it. It's fairly obvious, but obviously what's missing is mostly the attached to existing stream. So we're gonna add that. I'm not sure, and it's not gonna be in 58, but maybe 59. We'll see. But yeah, and essentially automating some of the previous messages. Like usually you have like the auth message, that is the first message sent over a WebSocket. So I want to kind of have an automated way for you to send that message automatically on connect essentially. So
yeah, right. I see the StreamQL query. How different is it from the HTTPQL? Like, is it every message? Does it the regex hash that goes through the whole stream?
So this is an experiment we've made. So it also goes with now in the WebSocket history, you have the StreamQL query at the top. So right now we have two namespaces, Stream and WebSocket, and I think it's a bit easier. I do have some documentation on that. So we've added documentation on StreamQL. So it's very similar in terms of like the patterns. You always have the namespace, the field, and the operator. And then we have two namespace, one for WebSocket and then one for stream as a general concept, because eventually I want to add like SSE and then maybe gRPC streams in there. So you can essentially filter by a couple of fields. So host, for the stream, you have access to the host, the path, the port, the protocol, and the source.
Hey. Just give me 1 sec. I will just tweak a scene because for the pro, the chat is actually a limitation I kind of suffer from at Restream level. It's already minimized to the maximum from what I can. So the only option I have is to get rid of it. Totally. So feel free to interact.
I think it's better.
It's really interesting for us if you do interact. These streams are made to be interactive. I tend to keep the chat visible, so you remember you can interact with us. I took it off, so we have a bigger stream. Your job is to still interact with us and give dope questions.
Yeah,
you can keep going.
Yeah, no worries. So yes, the idea here, you can say like stream. Well, here I only have one host, so it's not super useful. But you can say like, let's say we go into WebSocket one. WebSocket has a few things, so you can do the created at. The direction, is it going to the server or is it going to the client? The format, so you have like in WebSocket, you have text, plain text and binary format, length, and if you want to search on the raw, you can do that. So if we do, I have a recent search, for example, with the direction going to the client. So this is only going to filter for the streams that have messages going to the client, and then just filter each message directly for the message going to the client. And then you can do the same thing for a server. And then you have messages going to the server, essentially. So yeah, it's fairly early, still the StreamQL. We try to integrate it in the filter. So now you have in filter, you have like the expression kind, so HTTPQL or StreamQL, and then you'll be able to use one or both depending on how you've defined it in your preset.
And then there is that guy that says, yes, but I want to filter both at the same time, please. And UI goes like whoosh.
Yeah. Well, they have different fields, so in theory, there's not a lot of overlap. But yeah, I get it. Right now you cannot search across like HTTP content and WebSocket content. You have to do two things. Yeah.
And it's not possible to send it to replay from the stream that is going on the website directly, or it's...
No, we hadn't added yet the send to replay or like attached to existing stream.
We just need to create it from scratch, right?
Yeah, you create it from scratch. So I know we need it, so it's gonna come, but we wanted to first have it at least as a feature and then release that, and then incrementally go from there. Add this attached stream. Add the like preset messages like on connect messages and stuff like that. Some also like some WebSocket have like their own ping pong mechanism that is not using the ping pong of WebSocket. So we want to add also like conditions where you can reply automatically on based on regexes and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see what we wanted to also like have people try it. Give us feedback on what they like. Do they like the interface that we've built for it? And then we'll go and improve it from there. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing. The other thing is like smaller things, but now you can have, I know people were asking a lot for it, so you can have presets that are global. So you don't have to recreate them for every project now.
So they are stored within the config Caido dir and not per project DB?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there is still one global SQLite for that?
Yes. Essentially, that's always been the case. You have inside the Caido projects, inside the data path, you have like config.db. That's going to be the config stuff that is global. And then you have projects, and inside each project, you have a config.db. So yeah, you always have both available to you. So
nice.
Yeah. So the small thing, but that should help if you have, I know one plugin there was one plugin specifically made to copy over numbers from one project to the other. So now you should not need that anymore. So.
It's better, yeah.
When you meant that we can have WebSockets, Regex that triggers no new request, will it be part of workflow trigger, part of automation?
Unsure yet.
What's the spirit? Yeah.
Unsure yet, probably. We do have now, we have match and replace for WebSocket. So this is also possible now. So you have request WebSocket or response WebSocket. But this is only for intercept right now. So you have the sources only for intercept. So we might add it to replay, I guess. We're just trying to like limit the number of concepts sometimes to because there's a lot of ways
later,
yeah, there's a lot of ways. My thinking initially was to put it as a replay thing only, to put it like as like a replay, and then maybe we can add like a workflow as like an executor to create the message, but not necessarily for the trigger itself.
No, the trigger should be outside of workflows.
Yeah, so the trigger was mostly like inside the replay. You have like on connect or on whatever, on message with this regex that matches this regex, and then you can run a workflow to reply or a static message to reply. So.
I feel like on the default collections or other collections, having numbers still feels like tab renamer, auto tab renamer will be installed by default. Do you have any plans to merge that, to have a way to mangle a request name to automatically make some sense of it and make...
We had plans to do that. The problem is like it's very user specific. So maybe we could have auto tab renamer. I think we're starting to add more native stuff from plugins. So depending on specific use cases. So we have a bit of AI integrations with your own keys and everything, but like native instead of all plugins. So maybe that's going to be part of it. The problem we found is like, if you try to do something generic, you need to kind of have, I guess, a templating engine or something like that. And then even that, like if you have GraphQL, then it's like, oh, well, everything's going to be named GraphQL. So.
Complexity.
Yeah.
That's why.
Or maybe on the settings, like doing something, a templating.
Out.
Or just a templating system, like we just want the path and stuff.
A library of presets like fstring-ish, format string-ish, to pick the kind of nomenclature you want to rely on for tab renaming.
Yeah. Okay. We do have already a bit of that. We do have a templating engine for that is not well documented right now, but we do have one in essentially, where can I show that? Let's see if let me create a new workflow, and then I can add a join node, I believe.
While you demo this, FX Dosrk, what a nickname. We do plan to cover many things related to parallel projects and agentic observability and more, but maybe in a second part. First, we'll focus on the patch note, and then we'll go on more agentic topics.
Yeah. So we do have a reporter string now. There is some syntax to essentially interpolate inside those fields here and here, but it's not super well documented, so we need to add more documentation around that, and we could probably reuse the same pattern for replay. But so anyway, going back to the changelog, so we covered WebSocket here. We covered, well, briefly WebSocket in match and replace. That's fine. And then the last thing that is bigger than people were asking was the automate extractor. So people were asking for that a lot. So that's essentially able to create. We have a new tab called Extractor, so you can create new extractor. You have the regex. We always take the first group, so that's also always going to be, and then you can run a convert workflow on the result if you want.
And it will print just the list of what you choose.
Yeah. So if we take like, I think this one is a response from one of my tests, and then you go back here, Extractor, paste it here. You have a test, so you can see the result. And then I've run it just here. So essentially, when you run it, there's still a couple small bugs, but when you run it, it essentially I run a workflow on it, so that's why it's base64 encoded. But let me try to see if I can run it without. I'm gonna duplicate it and then add a placeholder. Ploop.
I knew there were tons of idle in Caido.
Yeah. Number 1 to 100 placeholder, and then I need to fetch this one. Took placeholder. Yeah. This reset, I need to fix that because it's annoying. And numbers, extractor. Took no workflow match there, and then if I run it. Yeah, and then I can sort by it. Yeah, and then you have it.
Okay.
So yeah, it should work fair. Like it has all the functionalities, but yeah, still a couple of bugs here and there. But
yeah, I was gonna ask, does it handle new lines the right way or compressed binary shitty formats? Like tons of regex implementation, different ones, specificities.
Yeah, the regex is based on the Rust regex one, so it's you can. The way I usually try to do my regex is I go on regex 101, and then
so you still use your brain. I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can ask an AI, I guess now, but yeah, you have the. Then you have the Rust flavor if you want. Nice. Well, you can ask an AI, I guess, now with like Rust. Just have to tell it it's the Rust.
AI works as it's Rust regex specific. Maybe a button just near on the right of configuration to quick open regex 101 for drafting regex.
Yeah,
might be handy.
Yeah.
We have a question from Sehno. I hope I pronounced that right. How can I test race conditions on Caido? Is there native solutions or not? Thanks. I think this is related to what you were mentioning about workflows,
in the next
requests,
version.
sets.
Yeah. So the next version is gonna have that for the race condition. So that was kind of the big missing piece in replay that we were missing. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know exactly. It's gonna. We still have a couple of bug fixes, so it's gonna take a few weeks still, but it should be fairly soon that we have that native. So. I know there's a couple of plugins that do it in the meantime.
Plugins or workflows are already things to do, but feels a bit too JavaScript-ish.
Yeah.
But soon will be embedded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question. So, and then we did a bunch of various fixes everywhere, but yeah, also I think on the next release we redid the sidebar, so this is going to change. You'll be able to create your own section.
A custom one. Okay.
Yeah, and move stuff around. So I'm pretty sure this is in the next release, and we reworked the plugin page here to allow searching across like official and community, and then make it a bit easier to update stuff. And so yeah, lots of stuff coming in the next release. It's a good one. So yeah, also a lot of changes means a lot of bugs, so we need to work a little bit on that too.
I was gonna ask, can we say why? Well, initially we had to have Caido patch note a few months ago.
Yeah.
But then we've had one, let's say, complicated release, and then I was the one not available, so that's why it's just right now.
Yeah, the release 56 was hard. I think we did a bunch of stuff, but yeah, you see we did like two patches when there. Yeah, it was a hard release. And we were also reorganizing a bit, so like we are not a big company, but like also we have developers full time now, so that's cool. But also like there's a lot of when we bring on a lot of people full time, it's there's a lot of reorganization.
Onboarding,
onboarding,
for sure. So it means it's going strong.
Yeah, no, it's going well. Yeah, no, expect a lot of stuff to be shipped. So a lot of focus right now is also like non-visible stuff. So we worked a lot on HTTP2 to bring HTTP2 everywhere in the app. So that's slowly coming along. The first part is in replay in the next release with the parallel sending and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So and then we're gonna add it more and more throughout the app. So there's a lot of like under the hood stuff work that needs to be done for
Yeah,
big
always.
changes. So.
I think there is a lot of work that is done on lazy loading and pagination for big
Yep.
project on remote servers to alleviate front-end bottlenecks, right?
Yeah. We started working on that. It's still there's still work to be done, obviously, but yeah, that's definitely something. And yeah, I would say just like also depending on we do a lot of loading in the first when you first load Caido. There's a lot of stuff loading, lots of queries. So we're trying to like reduce the amount of queries that are coming in on the first load to like speed up the process. If you have a remote server that is a bit far, that we want to like improve that.
I was gonna suggest either improve speed for whatever it means, or queue things in a more procedural way, not that much in parallel. One issue I've had with really small digital ocean droplets is that when I try to load Caido through remote SSH forward, if it's a too small machine with some scan happening live, it dies.
Yeah, the machine like struggles.
Yeah. But it's intended to have fast startup for machines that do allow that. So try it out always.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think we might be using also the same threads, but yeah, if the machine is like hammered at 100% CPU, it's hard.
Yeah, the first digital ocean is too low, so
yeah. It's a pain for new users. Just
yeah, I get that. So.
Quick question: should we go to the next feature or improvement, or give a few words about the giveaway?
Yeah, we can talk about a small giveaway. So, yeah. Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
Whatever works.
Okay.
I can give the general idea.
Yeah, we're trying to make that stream a bit more permanent every release or so, and then if for people that are on the live stream, do you want to extend it beyond the live stream, or just to force people to be on the live stream?
No, I think it's intended for me. So the big concept on my end is Caido is a product, but it's a product we all use. But in the end, it's still free ads, kind of, but for a project we love. But as it's still advertising-ish, technical one, I wanted the community to be able to benefit from that and make use of it. So I will try to give, and this one is not on my end, let's say 2, 3, 5 licenses for these holidays, so 2 months, as far as I know, and see what people be able to do break with that.
Yeah, and if we can bring in and have ideas around that, that's always good.
It's a win-win trying to have that in place.
Yeah.
And so the question is, what should be the discriminatory factor to say who will benefit from these licenses?
Yeah.
People using burp from a long time.
Use burp, you qualify.
Yeah.
Aggressive one.
Well, if you want to test it, like people that have not tested it, that's a good point. Or it can be you've tested it, but your friend has not, so we can give out a few. But I think we'll have to do a draft. I don't know how many people are gonna ask for it. So.
We'll see. First timers. So just shout out in the chat like, hey, I want to give it a try, or my license expired and I don't want to pay, and we'll see what we can do from that. Otherwise, I have one short break, funky one. I have a quiz for you. So chat, refresh right now so you can be all on the same timestamp, kind of, and we'll go for a quiz. First question, what is the thing I'm gonna bring? Waiting for people to refresh. Refreshed. Nice. Thanks, GG.
Are you showing the
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, I know it's not Caido related, but it's just one for the fun, and then we'll see what we can do from
Are
there.
you still like on my screen? Because I might just go back to the stream just 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Just remove my.
We good, and back to the chat for a while. So second try, shorter one, and off. We're gonna see. Well, maybe one last. What the fuck is that? And it's so heavy.
It's heavy.
It's really heavy. Maybe 1 or 2 kilos, and like there is the lever effect.
I don't know if we have enough people in the chat that know that.
It's old. I know it's old. Might or
We
might
are all
not.
too young.
Yeah, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
name is the primate chat. No, the name should help. The name you can see Max Store in here or Max Store in here. Hard drive so big, that's 1 point. Nice. The next question, and you have more time, we'll get back to the stream, is that I would like you guys, that's a nice head, to guess what is the capacity of this hard drive. Clomic, nice done, but third. It's just like so aliasing hard. But yeah, it's like heavy as hell.
Crazy big.
Yeah, and you can even see that cylinder in here, kind of. I don't want to break that. Yeah, Warthog, it's less. Alice Labs, it's way less. Subic, it's more. Clomic, it's more. Nice. We have players. We have players. Just
Yeah,
a
we
visual
have players.
delay.
That's cool.
Way less. It's not in jigs. The closest so far should be Subic right now, but it's more. 800 grams. It's more. It's less. Say no. It's less. Warthog closer. Subic more. Wow, megabyte or mega octet. Getting closer, getting closer. GG, you're just getting way farther. You're not too far, guys. It's 83 megabytes. 83 megabytes for 2 kilos, and that's old as fuck. And yeah, and just to finish the thing, so I think I will take the closest one.
She's Clomic, I think.
Clomic said 80 before you said it, so in theory, make it.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Allez, Clomic, congrats. And just for the fun and before we move on, this is the laptop that goes with it, with all its peripherals. So this is not a giveaway, but oh, it's that way, my bad. Laptops before they were cool from a guy I helped move out a long time ago. So Clomic, jump to my DMs, you won. And who was the first one to guess it was a hard drive? Subic. So I read that on Clomic. Subic.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way. We should do that. Need to bring old stuff from our
funky ones.
Yeah.
I will try to contact maybe Memoir Mort. I've heard good feedback from that, or other low-level tech folks to see what we could extract or get from that, like study the past. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even has some stuff still on it. After all these years, it might.
You never know, but
never
can
know.
it be useful? No.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah,
anyway,
all
end of the
breakers.
break, we have 2 winners. Citan, if you have one question, or maybe you want to thank the next good ideas to embed inside Caido, you'll have the next.
Yeah. If people have ideas or stuff, the next good idea that comes in the chat, we'll give them another 2 months, and then well, it can come later. That's no worries.
Sure.
Yeah,
Back to
I
the
think.
features.
Yeah, back to the features. I think I have covered a lot of stuff that from that release. I think the last stuff is like kind of going in with your next item, right, on the agentic stuff. And,
all right. So
maybe
not a
we can
few
jump.
ideas on what comes next, because we covered what changed, but what are the things to come on the next release?
Yeah, we did cover most of it. So yeah, you have the parallel sending stuff. So the pipeline feature that's coming up, rework of the sidebar, rework of the plugins page, and I believe next release. I'm not sure if it's going to be next release or the one after we finish the don't log out of scope
That's great.
Yeah, only log in scope stuff. So that's coming also either next release or the one after that. So
Perfect. So
Yep.
kind of alleviate project loads while
Yep.
we tend to
Yeah, we know
parallelize more
that,
and more what we do. So
we know
this is
that
definitely aligned with the question from above that I will get even before we start that. Push.
And do you plan to add the MCP directly on Caido, or only using like the skills we made?
For now, we're focusing a lot on the skill.
Okay.
The MCP.
We're gonna get back to that soon, guys. I think.
Yeah.
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
we have the MCP things to show up.
Yeah.
To show off. I feel like in pen testing, it would be great to have the same kind of UI where you can easily parallelize work between projects, and you plan on doing that in Caido. And associated question, agent observability, and even parallel project or parallel instances maybe. I do suffer from huge project or one single project at a time. How could agents or requests use different Caido project on the same server, or is it always better to parallelize with multiple instances?
Yeah, it's, most of the time I've seen multiple instances right now because we don't have a really good way to have two projects open. Well, you can't have two projects open at the same time. So either I've seen also people do projects per day instead. That's also been possible because then you can tell your agent, oh, go look back in like the last 5 days, and then they can open projects quickly and just do a search in every one of them. But it's going to be a parallel, like a sequential search, not a parallel one.
Makes sense. So on my end, I do have kind of both. Different project or of course different pen test or missions, one instance each for clean separation, limit blast radius, etc. But I also have the per day or per smaller subscope to have real light project. But instead of relying on the GraphQL that is on a specific project being opened, I just ask my agents to go fetch right in the SQLite database. That way, find pipe grep bash xargs SQLite prompt, and it just takes all the past days right away.
Is it fast enough?
Yeah, SQLite is fast if it's small databases.
Well,
it is.
Yeah.
If it's small.
Yeah.
If it's a small database, yeah. So there are a couple of things. Yeah, you can definitely play around with the database, I guess. There's not that much in between the GraphQL and the database, honestly. So it's pretty much just the StreamQL just goes and is converted to SQLite.
Yeah, that's what GraphQL is made for. So you have the data. Well, maybe a few links or cross entity queries can be a bit more automated through GraphQL. But in the end, anyway, you prompt your agent, you will go a few loops and have the result in the end. So
yeah, that's definitely doable.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think the problem is, I guess you get that problem a lot with the MCP because they dump the full response in the context. With the skill, you can pipe it because the skill can reply a bunch of requests, and then you can pipe that because essentially the skill calls a CLI, right? So if you call you can use the CLI directly and then pipe that result into another tool if you want. So
fair enough. I never played that much with that, but is the Caido CLI able to, well, first it start the server, being it this desktop version or web version, but are there helpers from that? I think I saw something related to that.
So yeah, so it's a bit funky. Like let's see. Let me go into the skills. So
or maybe it's an unofficial project I saw that allows to interact with.
Unofficial. So the thing is, like, there's no officials. The CLI, what we call the CLI, is we want to rename it eventually, pretty soon, because like it's very confusing. The thing that is called CLI is just the server essentially, so it should be called server, honestly. And then we have essentially here, if you look at what the skill is composed of, it's like a big README with a client, a Caido client.ts, and this Caido client has
wait. I'm gonna add your screen back. Sorry for that.
Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Okay.
And the chat goes whoosh.
Yeah. Yep. See my screen? Yeah. So if you look at the skill itself, so that's like Caido/skills, you have like the big README that tells it how to use it, and then essentially it's kind of it's a TypeScript file, right, with a bunch of commands that you can ask, so you can search and do stuff like that. And this is kind of a CLI that I kind of want to be eventually the official CLI. So we're probably going to take that and put that as an official CLI. So, but the nice thing with this file, and there are probably other community contributed ones or whatever, is that you can pipe the output of this result into another tool.
Grep.
Yeah. So that's the interesting part. But yeah, the CLI itself, what we call the Caido CLI right now, it just spawns the server. You cannot like do other stuff with it at the moment.
Right. Actually, I get the screen for
Do you want to grab
things to show? Yeah. I have to change that. Change that. Up. And share this one. Yeah, and that leaked a lot of things, but that's okay. Right, so I got confused because what I saw was this dispatch plugin.
Yeah.
And so it was not from a CLI interact with Caido, but more from Caido to other CLIs with automations.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, but indeed, that's not exactly what I was thinking about in the first place, is indeed the TypeScript Caido client. But I think they worked a bit on the other way around. No, maybe not.
No, I think dispatch is only from the UI to other stuff.
So it seems that's not AI are not the only one to hallucinate answers. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, we lost you, C10, because your screen is still displayed. Hide and welcome back, C10. Cool. So a few things I wanted to show on my end related to agentic pentest. So first thing is vibe hacking plugin. It's one plugin I was running for quite a while. Nice screenshot to show what it does. Yeah, that's the UI that is offered, and you can, by installing this plugin and starting the actual MCP server, interact with Caido, automatically create projects, scopes, rules, filters, send, replay, whatnot. And that was working lovely. A part of a few crashes, but that are, as far as I know, more part of the life cycle or timing out requests that just does the whole stack, and that's just not really software issue, but more like nefarious cross interactions with the outer world. But outside of that, with a few, some time spent in TechnoWatch, by checking Caido, minus your official website, of course, and minus some junk, I saw that this was the actual hot stuff, and also that you've been
we integrated. Integrated with two. We had Strix, so people that have used Strix.
Yeah, we demoed that live.
Yeah, so Strix uses Caido under the hood, and I think now you should be able to point it to your own Caido instance. So if you don't want them to like spawn another container or whatever, I'm pretty sure they did that. And then we did an integration with Pentest Copilot like a couple of weeks ago. So
dope. A few words about Pentest Copilot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's Bugbase is a company out of SF. It's essentially another of those agents. I haven't like really benchmarked them really to see if it's better than Strix or less good, whatever. So I just know that it's another one. I knew the guys. I met them at during RSA. So we did an integration.
It feels like Hermes agent and Ardes, but more optimized for security stuff.
We could say that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow.
So, there is a good trend. And obviously, like all of those companies, they have, Strix is like 20,000 or whatever, 42,000 now. It's like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this one's gonna stonks as well. This one's gonna stonks. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Such a diff, And networking, it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, I think the way we want to position it as for Caido is we will integrate with the community and whatever is interesting to us in terms of the agents and stuff like that. So.
And so do you wait for the community to implement that, or do you give some help for the initial integration to have sane basis, and then they take the ownership of updating, maintaining it?
Yeah, for now, Strix and Bugbase, they own it. So we gonna build an SDK for that. So we maintain the SDKs and stuff, make sure the SDKs work and all of that stuff. But otherwise, we let them, because we don't have enough bandwidth to maintain.
Yeah. Fair enough. You cannot maintain all the projects.
No, exactly. So we have to choose, and we choose essentially to maintain the SDKs.
That's, I think, the most clever approach. And a few other things. Caido plugin for hackers, where we have our friend and past guest Justin Gardner showing off how you can use it, find cool bugs. Well, say him again. So yeah, I was surprised to see, well, not surprised, but well, happy to see that there is a lot of live and monthly news things that come up. And so where I was going first is Cotton Fluff Caido MCP server, because vibe hacking works well despite a few crashes, but it seems that this one seems to be the replacement, fairly advanced. I don't know how many maintainers, quite a few already.
Claude is enough.
Claude, yeah. It's mostly him and Claude.
What do you say? Claude is enough?
Claude is enough.
Oh yeah, Claude is enough. Yeah, but someone prompts Claude, right?
Yeah, I think it's mostly Cotton, and we have a private channel with him, so we let him know when we have like breaking changes in the API and stuff like that, so he can. He's also maintaining the Golang SDK, because we only maintain the TypeScript and Python one, and then the Golang SDK maintains. So.
Actually, the first contributor is still him and not Claude, unless
but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Human. Human, it is human.
Yeah, sure, we can say that.
Yeah, and there are pretty small PRs, bug fixes,
just bug
but
fixes.
Still, it's nice to have edge cases managed by people that suffer from the edge cases. And so why I say it seems a bit more advanced is that as it sticks more to the SDK, there are way more features. But one trade-off, though, I want one specific chart I saw. Okay, zooming out for this one.
Yeah.
There was a 2D grid comparing the two. It's gone. No. That's what I was mentioning. So within Caido MCP, there is a Caido CLI that allows to interact and like really easily from
I didn't know they added that.
Yeah. So that's the one I was thinking about, not the actual dispatch one. And this seems fairly interesting because, okay, we can have MCP calls, okay, we can set things up, but if this MCP is enabled, then, or maybe even without it being enabled, some setup,
but
and the MCP, but still we can rely on simple CLI calls to interact with the MCP. So that's an interesting way that I did not see many.
Well, does it interact with MCP? No, I think it interacts directly with the API. I'm pretty sure.
With the SDK directly, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
what's the difference between that and the SDK?
I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that. I think it's just a combined wrapper. You can do everything with the SDK.
Yeah, because essentially the way the MCP works is like it's just a tool with that does an action, right? So you can write a CLI that does the same action, and that's kind of the basis for the skills. So instead of having an explicit tool, and then you just tell it, well, there's this CLI that you can use, and with this command, and then it'll perform the same action. So it's kind of like that's still the war between the MCP and the CLI, MCP and the skills. In theory, the big advantage is really that the CLI you can pipe into other CLIs, right? So
definitely.
So with the skills lets the agent learn about the CLI, and then it uses the CLI, pipes it into another CLI, so you can combine that a bit better than MCP, which is a specific operation that you're doing. So
Agreed.
Yeah.
One thing to take into account, so I cannot find back the 2D grid, 2D array I was looking for. This one feels more advanced and more up to date, etc. But with more and more, I'm gonna get there, with more and more features, function, like 66 MCP tools instead of, let's say, 30.
30. Yeah.
It's almost twice the context burnt.
Yeah.
Also implies twice the cost, unless you have caching with no cache miss, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's two approaches. I think I'm gonna poke and try this one, but do always keep in mind that it's not new, better. No. Trade-off all the time. So guys,
There's another PR also on the skills that we haven't merged from Justin, and that one changes the default for the skill to be like the default for the skill right now is to always create a replay session, and some people were like finding that a bit annoying. So it changes the default to like use a curl piped into Caido and only create replay sessions when there's a clear like something interesting going on. So
I agree.
It has always trade-off. Like there is a request, it seems juicy, but you do not want to inspect the whole answer or response. You would not burn token, but by not doing that, sometimes junks get sent to replay, and that's a pain. And it gets even worse when we have parallel subagents that are working on the same task, trying to push new requests, not aware or not rereading the currently existing ones. Therefore, tons of dupes, not bug bounty level, but even replay level. So that's 50 shades of dupes. No.
But I've seen a lot of people shift to obviously like a lot of more agentic first stuff. I think most of the bug bounty hunters do it via Claude and separate CLI. I've seen on the more enterprise side, they are more inside the Shift plugin, inside the tool itself.
So Shift, do you remind me, it's baked either by general AI providers, but Caido currently do not bake Shift's AI provider, right? You're not kind of like Cursor. No,
we don't have. I do want to get there because we used to have assistant. We kind of still do, but pretty much deprecated. But I do want to offer some credits. But the idea is like this is more. If you look at like enterprises customers, especially, like they don't want you to have access to any data. So even if we add back as a provider, we need a way to disable it and all that stuff. So that's always like the more you go into enterprises, the more control you have to give them, and the more the data location is very important to them.
True, and in the end, they still run your software on their laptop, but they do all the data spread. But in the meantime, they have their own server wide open on the internet from time to time. So hey,
but it's still in companies, it's mostly like security by checkbox. So in the box.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Real port buster. Yeah. That's right. He was complaining maybe from 6-7 months ago. And now it was in Frenchy.
Always in French.
Getting there. Yeah. Once for all the prayers, my son.
Because like now, Shift is only API based, right? We can't use our subscription or stuff.
What do you mean?
Because we all use like our cloud or codex.
Yeah, you have to use API based. Yeah, sorry.
I think that's why people are not really using.
Yeah, I guess so. But my guess is at some point in the coming 12 months, we're gonna see the prices of subscription rise to match the level of API call, because it's not sustainable, the pricing they are doing it.
Yes, no, I don't know.
We don't want it, but
already so many providers giving good results, and even right now, Kimi K3 offering really decent results on on-premise software. Hardware. So I think it will be hard to raise prices. Honestly, I already left Claude like 3-4 months ago, and I'm really happy to pay way less for way more time and less.
But you're paying per query, no? Now?
But like if you rely on DeepSeek, GLM, or others, which is something, well, if a customer has their own on-premise stuff. Go for
Yeah.
it. If it's touchy as hell, no MCP or no AI or LM provider or local ones, even if they are a bit dumber. Okay. But if it's something like Bug Bounty or Pentesting open source software, you can go DeepSeek all the way. And this one will be maybe I'm gonna give a stick to get beaten, if that's something that can be understood.
I think it's only in French, but
yeah, it's only in French. Okay, I'm gonna give a stone to get stoned. Whether it's the USA or China or any other country AI provider, I'm not sure. Like country and states war and economical intelligence are just everywhere. I don't think trusting any of them or one more than another makes sense right now. Maybe the one from Proton, I think it's Lumen, because they really wrote their paper going all honest about, hey, we cannot do in-place processing and inference in an homomorphic encrypted way. So of course it is in plain text, but our only promise is that it's encrypted end-to-end, well, end-to-end-ish from customer to the LLM place and to the LLM provider to customer. And the only promise is that at inference time, there are no logs. It's honest, transparent, but they can do. And well, Proton already have their own proof of trying to be the good guys. But all the other providers, as long as it's not in your laptop or GPU, it's out there. Yeah.
With all the API stuff, API data, everything.
Yeah. Hey, let's backlog the chat a bit together. I have a friend that vibe coded some sort of competitor of Caido. Don't. Okay. No.
There are a million of them, so it's fine.
Definitely. So exploring implementing ACP to allow using Cloud Code and codecs with Shift Caido. Okay, so
the ACP protocol is like interesting for that, but it's I feel like they're gonna try to restrict it because they have already restricted it, I think.
But wasn't that agent to agent?
No, that's like the protocol that like for example like a VS Code can use to use your cloud subscription in theory.
Okay.
Because like it's not allowed per the terms of service, so you can't obviously publish a product like that, but you can use that protocol. In theory, it calls out to the CLI, the cloud CLI essentially, and then
the cloud dash P. Anyway, I think that the solution should not be there, but outside of that, by having the subscriptions that kind of mimics an API, there are many tools that does that and kind of load balance the cost between many subscriptions. Real Port Buster noted for the proxer, I guess. Okay. Oh yes, this one is nice. TLS stack fingerprint or bypass.
The TLS fingerprinting is annoying, but it's hard to do correctly. Like it's honestly hard to do correctly, and you cannot only do it helps to do like just the TLS client alone. That definitely helps. I think it's harder because like right now you have like a lot of different layers. So they even start at the TCP layer sometimes, and then they go up to the HTTP layer because you have like they'll try to match your user agent with the TLS that you sent.
I'm not sure it's like the tool. I'm not sure the tool or proxy provider should be the one in charge of implementing TLS fingerprint bypass or anything, because it's meant to be ethical work. So you have customers and agreements and stuff. It gets fairly advanced, so you want people to actually work that out themselves to some extent. Maybe having an API or SDK for some level of access to really low level bindings to be able to map out or change the TLS stack. But your work is to provide a good proxy and tooling, not bypass, because otherwise you will burn your whole developer time working on bypasses. That gets back really fast. So.
I think what we settled on is like we'll do part of it. because like it's becoming enough of a problem that people are asking for it. So we'll see. It's kind of hard. Like even for commercial users, they sometimes will want that. So
Maybe one specific implementation, like one sample plugin that shows how it
Yeah.
can be done, and then people will manage themselves to tweak it to.
Yeah, but we have to like build. If you do a plugin or like a hook for people to tweak, you have to have like those capabilities in the core, right? So
Definitely,
I think
embed in the core, add stubs, add bindings, SDK compatible, and then do your thing, people.
yeah, and I think like yeah, we are coded in Rust, so like there's a real port buster in chat that says you can use this library, but they are all forks of like request the library, and then the idea is like, yeah, you can do that, but then you're limited to like valid HTTP requests. Like if you want to send junk, like we want to be able to let people do, it's more complicated. You have to do your own thing. So.
Agreed. Gonna give a quick shout out. We have Flora in the chat, which also streams. It's /SO, I think. No, /shout out. Yeah. Cool. Mostly English, German, French streamer, mostly tech, often Active Directory. So feel free to give to have a look to what she does. Sending kudos on the way. Aituglo.
Yeah.
Do you use Caido?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot before AI.
Do you use Caido UI?
Oh, the UI. Oof, it's been a while.
But it's a different question. Do you use Caido? Do you use the UI?
Yeah. I used to use it a lot, but now with AI and stuff, I just use it to verify everything. So just now, just fact checking. I have my Caido now on my server. Before it was on my computer, but now it's directly on my server, and I just ask Claude to send the request directly to verify and see the request. So
you're more of the Claude relying on Caido and not Caido with Shift or embedded Agentic to act on that. I'm fairly on the same side of you, but so what's the future of UI? Not work with Caido, but also work with Ghidra and so many other tools. Is the UI now one way to structure the tool, but not mandatory anymore?
I think it's not mandatory anymore. Like we are not using it a lot. Like I'm using only UI to see if something is good or wrong, and that's it.
Maybe there are still a ton of difference between, let's say, early, junior security folks that do need to visualize, understand, make sense of things, and then the YOLO mode where you just want to get productive and steer slightly from afar. What happens?
I think we are more and more on the YOLO mode now. So I don't know if it's good or not, but we are.
That's what it is. I think it mostly depends on the purpose. Like if you're here to learn, here to go deep on a topic and step up, or just want to get stuff done and call it a day. Probably. But I think
you're still I think you're still in the very early stage of adoption in terms of like where the total market is. I think still a lot of pen tester will still be UI first for at least some time.
I agree that UI is still first really structuring for the tool. So if you have a clear vision of the UI where you start using the tool, then you know what you can do with it, how you can structure your way of going through the application, taking notes. Caido is UI kind of feel like the the memory-ish tooling, but also memory. I know many people use Obsidian as their long-term memory or brain. Kind of feels the same to me, because things get stored in a more permanent way. And for advanced user, getting bugs or getting leads is not what is painful anymore. Unsloping so many leads that you need to have clear vision and a nice UI to inspect and decide whether you throw more agent at it or not is where things pay. So less time in the UI hunting, more time in the UI reporting and making sure things are right and not bullshitty. But yeah, different uses, but definitely I agree. Different use, different crowd.
Yeah, and for example, I don't use a lot of plugins anymore. Like I'm using plain Caido now because everything that plugins were doing previously is done by Cloud right now, and it's way easier to manage, I think. So
It's interesting.
like setting SSRF stuff, taking notes, testing the hold and stuff like that. Even the scanner, like.
Well, the scanner, it's the scanner world is kind of a bit of a transition. I think you still have a lot of people that are looking for scanners, but we'll see in the coming year. I would say like with any technologies, you have phases of adoption. For a scanner for like a bug bounty hunter is kind of useless, but for like
well, not always, but
not always, but
yeah,
only for the first one is great. So the first one
exactly.
using it,
the first one that runs it on a new website, but after that it's kind of useless. But for Pentester, it can still be useful. It also depends on like if we switch to a full AI scanning, no like deterministic, like what's the cost gonna be for a test, right? Versus
definitely
So
even
that's-
more depending on subscription and future use and lack of resources. Yeah.
In terms of but I don't know, like maybe we could throw a cheaper model at it or like a local model and it would be similar. But I think also like sometimes for pen tests you want deterministic because you have a checkbox to fill that you need to say I've tested like the OWASP top 10, and then you need a scanner that says exactly that, and you cannot rely on deterministic AI stuff for that.
Definitely going further on that, Caido and I were speaking a bit before we start the stream on the dual approach. Only AI, too costly, too tunnel vision-ish,
too sloppish.
SAST, it's dope, it finds stuff, but if you run it twice, you are done. So having the dual approach where you have a SAST that finds stuff fast in a reproducible way, AIs that triage it, and then once you manage to triage everything you can and first batch a few batch, then you can have your AI to improve on the SAST code or rule set to go even further. And I think that the scanner kind of not suffers from that, but as you said, we are the second one to run the scanner, it won't find much. It's not the same with workflows, unless we have tons of custom workflows. Maybe, it's subjective, but on my personal use, I would like the scanner to pin every reflected parameters, every 2 time-consuming request or overlong body, not vulnerabilities, but behaviors that needs to be inspected. So having the scanner more like a SAST or pinpointing points of interest, kind of. I know that many people have custom workflows that does that, but taking this really well-established workflow into the scanner to alleviate the workflow market, let's say, and use the scanner more like a SAST-ish that can be increased with a rule set from the AI. We will have a huge positive retraction loop that will decrease the coverage over time and go really deep.
Yeah, it's hard to get people to share rules or build rules. So I think it's if the rules are going to be built, they're going to be built internally in like companies and teams and stuff like that. And not really shared around. But
kudos to Trail of Bits that those share tons of knowledge, skills, GraphQL sets, etc. Nice guys.
Yeah, reading a bit the stream. Yes, people talk about custom fingerprinting. The fingerprinting is we're working on it. And yes, I will be at DEF CON. If you want to meet me in person, I will bring a couple T-shirts and stuff like that. So.
I was so happy when you told me that you were inviting all the ambassadors to DEF CON this year. Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna
no,
cost a
for
lot
sure.
of money. Yeah. Are you buying your Caido licenses? It's gonna be a lot of licenses.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
That's
Boy.
fine.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, no, I'll be at DEF CON. So we're giving a talk on me and Bus Factor at the Bug Bounty Village on AI and proxy usage. And the goal is not to be like Caido specific. The goal is to like say how should you use, in our opinion, the proxy as part of your AI workflow, and not necessarily like just throwing Claude directly at a website, let's say. And I feel like a lot of people have gone full from very much having very strict scopes, very strict rules, and then to like full YOLO mode, like I drop tables on the production databases on the bank, like kind of very quickly. So we're trying to like see, well, maybe the I don't know, the market needs to shift back a little bit.
Agreed. Yeah, I was going to ask a dumb question. I was going to say, hey, do we have actual rule set like enable safe mode for AI?
That's
Not
something
easy-
we're working on.
Not
Yeah.
easy to disable with
Yeah.
a few pattern matching, like you find drop table,
Yeah.
automatically flagged, or callbacks to known domains. Like if your AI tries to register an email to a random company or a domain you do not own. That
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
no, for sure. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit like that. We want to have a guardrail system, but like even that, we got some feedback from people that says, well, sometimes if you tell the AI no, it'll just like encode your thing and then try to bypass your own.
You can use
that's
hooks,
true.
maybe,
That's
but yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I think one of the things we're gonna do is when we reply to the AI, we're gonna tell it like, this is unsafe, like don't do that. This is not the website responding. This is your guardrail system or something like that. And then if you combine, hopefully it'll listen to that. But
agreeing, yeah, part of wording to ensure it makes sense of the answer instead of trying.
But there's no guarantee, like, you know,
No.
it's
No.
totally undeterministic.
As long as the proxy is on the same system as the AI, it has tool call capabilities.
Yeah,
it's best effort.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
outside of the threat model.
But yeah, we definitely want to do that because we've been asked that by some people to, especially like Strix even, just to make sure that the last layer, we're kind of like the last layer of defense, so you can like put a lot of stuff in before, but like kind of this last layer of defense, trying to do that.
Better than nothing, yeah. Maybe have it opt-in so people do not complain, not
Obviously,
understanding
yeah.
why.
Yeah.
I mean, if a human wants to test with drop database,
Yeah.
they must be able to.
Exactly. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So it's gonna be interesting for sure, but yeah. I think it's needed to have a bit more. That's the gist of the talk, is really to like say maybe like the full YOLO mode is a
bit scary.
A bit scary. Maybe
but
we.
in the
we
meantime,
can,
right now, as virtually everybody does that. If you want to still be competitive bug bounty wise, you have no other way to add as many safeguards as you can, but still playing YOLO mode. Well, you can have upstream proxies that does their best.
Yeah.
But AI find bugs in Chrome, Safari, and whatnot. So anyway, our own-made Guardrails system still is an effort toward that, but not a solution.
Yeah. People like say year and a half, people complain about the classifier. Yeah, for sure. I think maybe we'll try to make it tweakable, so it's still a like idea phase right now. But I would say this is probably not for the bug bounty hunters, or maybe it is very likely for the bug bounty hunter, but it's really for the companies that are scared like hell right now about these so they like sometimes they will mandate like no AI at all, or like reviewing every call that the AI makes, which is probably not sustainable.
It's not possible. Like
the technology does not enable it. It's not built that way. Have you audited? Well,
Well, the
Citadel-
difference, I think, from a WAF and like just to finish on that
Yeah,
topic,
sure,
like I think the difference is like if on the side of in your master prompt you have a thing that says when you receive this kind of reply that says like your request has been blocked because it's unsafe by Caido, don't continue. Then if you reply that and then the goal is like, okay, if you do it on your side and we did on our side, maybe we have more chances of like the AI not bypassing it. That's kind of the idea.
Yes, no. All AI still currently suffer from the U-shape attention.
Yeah.
You have the beginning of the prompt and don't care zone.
Yeah.
And the end for the last messages. One really clever trick that a few people used, I've seen that and implemented it, is not to have the guardrails part of the prompt, but have the guardrails part of the hook system. And so every time you have specific keywords, or even if you want to be even more sure of that, every new message auto insert an extra line saying the top 10 commandments of do not do that. Be concise to not burn too much token, but every new queries has the intent of what you can and can't do, but really keep it concise.
It's hard. I think, it's always going to be best effort, but I don't think any system that promises like 100% like security is lying. I think, especially with AI. So.
Yeah.
Especially,
Yep. But so many things to do, so many things to see. Guys, I think we covered many things.
Yeah.
Should we give say a few words about the whole WordPress drama?
The one found by AI too.
The one from I saw this morning.
Ashkitten, WP2 shell. There was WP2 shell, and then I do not remember who, but I should check to
I
take
saw
credit.
another one from
WP2 root.
Yeah, or there was one this morning I saw on LinkedIn from
Caliph.
Yeah.
So let's pay credit and go on the right WP2 shell.
Yeah, let's see.
So for those that missed it, a remote code execution got found in WordPress 2 or 3 days ago. There are tons of public proof of concept. It affects many versions with little to no prerequisite. Many versions are vulnerable, and that's bad. One website out of 3 or 4 are still running on WordPress, so do reach out to your friends, company, dogs, cat, anything you can, and tell them to patch. Or if it's, well, I should not advise that. I've had to help friends not on their current home and network and no password. I had to hack into their website to patch their website before they got fined. I had their agreement, but that's how urgent.
You sometimes don't think about it, but your local city, like if you don't live like
exactly,
a lot of cities run on WordPress.
Yeah, exactly.
Sports, whatever hobby
your
you
local
have,
community, exactly.
Whatever hobby you have, reach out to them, help them. It's bad. And so after this one, Caliph doubled the just add one more coin. One more coin to the machine and added a PHP use after free bypass. So whatever you do, even if you have an ardent PHP for whatever it means, you're fucked. So please do update WordPress, make noise.
And don't use WordPress anymore. So
get rid of PHP. Same for Magento. Same for
It's possible, but it's not.
2026, guys. Time to move on. Actually, 2 of the companies I tried to advise and help security-wise ditched their WordPress like 1 and 4 weeks ago, approximately. And so I was like, oh, fuck, guys, we need to patch right now. No, we have go on pages.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Oh,
Well, you don't need the full WordPress nowadays, mostly. So
SEO. For SEO, it's still kind of ahead of many others, thanks to plugins, thanks to, the way SEO is done by referencing what it is already used to manage and reference. So the usual go-to for new shop owners is like, WordPress SEO plugin, go for it.
Have they released like a simple tool for people to check?
It's directly on the WP2 shell. You can check it.
You paste
Okay,
a link,
okay,
you click a
okay.
Cloudflare, turnstile captcha, and you know if you're...
Nice.
I wonder how precise it is,
Yeah.
but I think it's good. I did not set up a rogue server to see the probes they send, but I think it's okay. Good enough. Word faints, nuclei templates, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just like, just saying, like, if just something I can at least test or like give to a non-technical person.
Totally.
Just,
Paste a link, you know if you have to worry or not.
It's a very okay, yeah, I guess
Very time?
research. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. At least it looks a bit less accurate. There's a bit of code there, but we need a very dumb, very safe version of the website for people that are very scared of accuracy. So.
Just to show that to the full. I think they really did the job the right way. Screen share, Chrome tab, WP2 shell. Here we go. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. You can just have a turnstile, paste your website, and know whether you are in trouble or not. And voila. And indeed, there is code that can scare people, but hey, it's literally currently there is an issue. Check your site. As long as one expert tells you this website is trusted because we know the owner and they have long time records of being the good guys, yeah, you can use it. But otherwise, it's still one really clever way to collect tons of domain for future bug bounty research. But even if it's for bug bounty research, we know they do the right, well, they do all they can to have the right approach and help people get secure. So
yeah, Searchlight Cyber, it's fine. They're not good.
That's so good, yeah.
We have good players to compete with.
They do have the best word list in general, so I guess that data needs to come from somewhere. So.
You go like, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, someone said, yeah, thanks for the student plan. Yeah, my pleasure. Just use it.
Yeah, made for that. Should we add a few more words, or are we good to go?
I think I'm good on my side, but yeah.
Pretty much the same. We have a cool news Caido related with pasties, but it's too soon and I had not enough time, so I'm the one that fucked up, but get ready for exciting news related to that. And I think, Sitan, I'll rely on you to find maybe one question Caido related.
Yeah.
Being, well, be one last giveaway, so we have 3 this time.
Yeah, in the chat. You want a question?
From the top of your mind, do you have any idea, like one question related to either Caido internals or one question on the company or where does the logo comes from? Something we can chat about and see how it goes.
Let me think.
Or we welcome someone voluntary from the chat to come tell us how they use it or one epic win or epic fail they've had with it. And that's it. But people are shy.
Yeah, no, it's probably not a best idea, but
it can be fun.
I don't know. Worst case, we have, how many winners do we have? 2 right now?
2. Right now we have Klomik and Sobik.
Okay. I don't know. I'll have to prepare better next time. I'll come up with a better quote.
Okay, I'll take this one.
Yeah, it's fine.
When was Caido first released publicly? I don't even know. We have to
check. Boy.
You have access to internet and AI.
Yeah.
But you know, right?
I guess so.
I want the month and year. Go for
month and year?
Yeah, month and year. That way.
Don't know it. It's
no, because some time ago I
had publicly is channel. Like everybody or like to everybody or like just first external to us. That's how
first public release people can install.
Well, that's easy. You can just go on GitHub.
The first release was already on GitHub?
No, the 0.1. No, probably not.
Well, the first ones that were available were from GitHub, from the website. Maybe they need Wayback Machine. I don't know.
I don't remember if the first one on GitHub was... Because the first one on GitHub is... Alright, let me think. Did we release before? It's actually possible, but yeah, we did an announcement on that, so it's technically possible to find it. Yeah, that's the date from GitHub. I don't know if it's the first. Actually, not the first release.
I like when even one of the co-founder.
It's been a long time.
Karan says 17th of January 2023.
No, it's way before, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
way
so,
before
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So game is still on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
play
need
as
to.
well.
I need to find that out. I don't know.
The worst questions.
Yeah, that was the first release on GitHub, but that's not the first release we did publicly. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, on Discord is way before that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. You can find it probably on Discord. Yeah.
Was in time. So one other answer from Caravan, the 20.
That's the same one,
22.1 version from the 11th of January 2023. Real Podbuster. First release was on a dark web forum in 2020. Oh shit!
I don't know. No, probably not. No.
Can we have like reverse search but time based on Google? Yeah, maybe. Advanced research. No, not this one. Okay, the release tools, dates, precise dates.
Open beta. I'm going close. Yeah, public beta. I know. Yeah, no, but he's very. Yeah, the one, the first January 17, 2023 is actually correct.
Oh,
it's actually correct.
The first answer from Carawan?
Yeah, it's actually correct.
Oh, you say the first January?
Yeah.
Okay. So
No. The January 17 is actually correct. Because if you go to our Twitter, that's the first time we posted that the public beta is on. So actually the release...
Carawan MVP.
Yeah, we'll give it to him. That's fine.
I don't know if you already have it. Maybe we'll...
So yeah, we did a first release on January 11, 2023 on GitHub. And then before that...
But on the Discord, it's like on 2021.
Yes, Seno says...
yeah, but that was private beta, so that's why... Well, depending on how you define public, but I'll define it as like January 17th. That's a good fine. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, Carawan wins. Carawan, tell us in the chat, or later if you want to either use it, but maybe you already have it, or want to prefer it.
Caido back in 2019 is impossible. We started working in the tool in like 2021.
It's the second human hallucinating today and no AI hallucinated. Yeah. So I think we are doing worse and worse.
Yeah, we started working like the first time I touched the code was like July 2021. So yeah, something like that.
I had to give it a try, eh? All right, so we have our third winner and we'll see if he uses.
That's good. That's good. That's a good question. I need to find more questions.
Yeah, we should. I will find a few community-based and a few Caido-based, and voila. Guys, you want to share a few last words?
Just that I'll be at DEF CON, so if you want to hang out, I'll be there. So, yeah.
Nope.
Giving a talk.
Don't have anything to share. It's maybe my blog if you want to check this out, but yeah.
Definitely sharing this one as well, because it's not part of the actual Twitter handles that you can see on screen.
Yeah.
So this is added. Sitan, do you have a personal blog where you write, or you are all Caido now?
No, I don't have a personal blog anymore. I used to, back in the day, I used to work on Medium when it was nice, but I haven't updated my Medium.
Long time ago, eh?
Yeah, long time ago. But well, not for a while.
I'm pushing the Caido blogs.
Sure. If you want to
push
Caido blog.
So Karan misses free time to hack and have fun.
That's fine. Everybody misses free time.
just Claude and can do.
Yeah.
Hope so. All right, guys. That was a huge pleasure for me to have you both at the same time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, we are right now, let's say, starting a holiday break, and I'll be back maybe mid-September or more. Sorry for this.
Nice.
So the future.
Well, take a
Caido-
break. That's
Yeah.
that's French people for you. Yeah.
No,
the
honestly-
month of
honestly-
August is like, man.
dude, I also started my company and I've been
Yeah,
all in for 2 years ish.
I'm messing with you.
Time to have a break. Time to have a real break. But I'll still do video montage, Paracite stuff,
Yeah,
but more on
alright.
Instagram.
Alright.
I'm gonna do that. Definitely gonna pub my Instagram. Like,
He's not French enough.
how do you get your own profile link in Instagram? Yes,
Yeah.
there. Come. Click the nice
Alright.
free flight stuff. Guys,
Yeah,
thanks
alright.
again. Have a nice one and see you in 2 months ish for the next release and patch notes. And
Yeah.
happy work and holidays.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
See you guys.
See you
Cheers.
guys.
And it's gonna switch and mute yourselves.